Hello listeners, in this video let's see about The White Tiger written by Aravind Adiga. Before we learn the story, let's see about the author. Aravind Adiga is an Indian writer and a journalist who was born in the year 1974. His famous works are The White Tiger, Last Man in Tower and Selection Day. He has won Man Booker Prize in the year 2008 for his story, The White Tiger. Aravind was born in Chennai and then he grew up in Bangalore and later his family emigrated to Sydney. He began his career as a financial journalist with Financial Times. He currently lives in Mumbai, Maharashtra. Observing the prize list of the Man Booker Prize, Aravind Adiga is the fourth Indian-born author to win the prize after Salman Rushdie, Arundhati Roy and Kiran Desai. Let us now see the character list of the novel The White Tiger. The main character is Balram Halwai. Balram is the narrator, protagonist and anti-hero. Balram narrates the story from his village and how he has become a successful entrepreneur. Balram is a confident person. He always thinks himself as a white tiger. He declares himself as a self-made entrepreneur. He is a son of a rickshaw driver. In the novel, he describes his journey from growing up poor in the rural village of Laxmangahr and later describes his successful life of a businessman in Bangalore. His narration also accompanies dry and cynical humor. He also proudly admits to the corruption and sometimes murderous schemes and behavior that helped him to climb to the top of Indian society. Next is Mr. Ashok. Mr. Ashok is the son of the Storks and who is the master of Balram. Ashok, he recently returned from America. He has a gentle and mild personality while comparing himself with his family. Ashok gets disappointed by the widespread corruption that happens in India. He also gets irritated of his family's role, who's also involved in corruption, but he also goes along with his relatives who hangs out bribes to ministers and to politicians. Ashok always stays close with Balram. He also trusts Balram entirely. Next character is Kushum. Kushum is Balram's grandmother. His grandmother Kushum, she runs the household according to traditional Indian family values. Knowing the family's poverty, Kushum, she stops the young relatives who are going to school and stops them and allows them to go to work, and she also makes some children to get married in order to compromise and to be a supportive person for their family. Kushum also tries to send Balram to a driving school, but then with one condition she agrees to it. That is, Balram has to send his earnings each month. Later, Kushum also forces Balram to get married. Next character is Pinky Madam. She is a wife of Ashok who is beautiful and an American. Pinky is demanding and critical and a cruel wife to Balram. She is unhappy in India and eager to return to US. She also kills a young child in an accident. As Pinky is rich, she files back to legal complications and flies back to America, and abruptly she ends her marriage. The next character is Wen Jiabao. Wen Jiabao is a Chinese premier. The meaning of premier is a prime person. I mean somebody like a leader of a government. So Balram, he writes his letters and narrates his story to this Chinese premier. And Jiabao is a visiting Chinese official who expresses interest in learning the secrets of Indian entrepreneurship. He learns the skills of Indian entrepreneurship because it helps him to foster his own entrepreneurship in China. Next character is Vikram Halwai. Vikram Halwai is the father of Balram. He is a poor person and an illiterate rickshaw driver who then dies of tuberculosis early in the novel. Next is Balram's mother. His mother dies when he was a very young boy in Laxmangahr. Though she is a minor figure in the novel, but she plays back a major role at the background of his life. Often Balram recounts saying that his mother had great ambitions for him because he is a favorite child of her. Next is Kisan. Kisan is Balram's older brother who takes care of him after his father dies. Kisan plays a fatherly figure in Balram's life, and Balram also often laments saying that his brother lacks entrepreneurship spirit. Next is Dharam. Dharan is a young cousin of Balram. When Balram was plotting to murder Ashok, Dharam was with him. Next is Stork. Stork is one of the 4 animal landlords of Laxmangahr, who is the father of Mr. Ashok and Mukesh. This character Stork, he owns the river outside of Laxmangahr and he also taxes any villager who fishes there. Next character is the Mangoose. The Mangoose is Ashok's brother who is referred as Mukesh. Mukesh, he suspects that Balram is dishonest with Ashok, but Ashok disapproves of whatever his brother tells him. Next character is Ram Prashad. Ram Prashad is the Stork's #1 family servant. Ram Prashad and Balram, they sleep in the same bedroom, but they despise and they compete in every aspects of their lives. Next character is Vijay. Vijay is Balram's personal hero from his hometown of Laxmangahr. Balram admires Vijay for his ambition and entrepreneurial spirit. Next is Great Socialist. This character has dominated the political scene in the darkness for a long time as Balram can remember. Next is Vitiligo Lips. Vitiligo Lips is referred to a driver of another wealthy businessman who lives in Ashok's apartment. This driver, he has vitiligo. Vitiligo is a skin disease that results in the loss of skin pigmentation. Next character is Ram Bahadur. He is the Nepali. He is cruel Nepali servant in the Stork's household. I'll display the minor characters in the novel. The Wild Boar. This character, the Wild Boar, is one of the 4 animal landlords who owns all of the fertile agricultural land around Laxmangahr. Next character is the Buffalo. Buffalo is the greediest of the 4 animal landlords, known for heavily taxing rickshaw drivers who travel on his road. Next is the Raven. Raven is one of the 4 animal landlords known for sexually abusing shepherds who bring their animals to gaze on his land. Next character is Mr. Krishna. Mr. Krishna is Balram's corrupt school teacher. Mr. Krishna is a corrupt person because he steals the funds that are intended to pay for school lunches because he never receives his salary. Next is Miss Uma. Miss Uma is Ashok's former lover who he meets again after Pinky Madam's departure. Next character is Dilip. Dilip is a cousin of Balram and Kisham. Dilip travels with these two to Bangalore to find work. Next is the minister's assistant. This person is a corrupt official who convinces Ashok to hire a Ukrainian prostitute. Next is Anastasia. Anastasia is a prostitute whom Balram hires through Vitiligo Lips. Next character is a school inspector who calls Balram as White Tiger. Now he is the person who gives the intention for Balram that he is a special person who deserves great things in life. Next is a Muslim bookseller. Next character is Mohammed Ashif. Mohammed Ashif is Balram's employee at White Tiger Drivers. This Mohammed hits and kills a cyclist, and Balram, he uses Mohammed's money to bribe his company out of any legal difficulties. Let's see the plot summary of the novel, The White Tiger. The entire novel is narrated through the letters of Balram Halwai to the Premier of China. Balram writes his letter in his luxurious office in the city of Bangalore, but the story begins in his rural ancestral village of Laxmangahr. Throughout his childhood, Balram's destitute family lives at the mercy of four cruel, exploitive landlords. Though those landlords are referred as the animals, the names of the exploitive landlords are the raven, the stork, the buffalo, and the wild boar. Despite the difficult life that Balram had from his birth, but Balram excels in his school. His academic potential is distinguished from his own classmates. His excellence in academics also gained attention from a special visit made by a school inspector who nicknames him the White Tiger. The inspector referred him as the White Tiger because tiger is a most rare and intelligent creature in the jungle. So he compares the excellency of Balram and the tiger. Although Balram's parents recognize his potential and they want him to complete his education, but his grandmother Kushum removes him from school at an early age so that he can work to support the family. Initially, Balram is determined to continue his education however he can, but when he and his brother Kisan begin working in a tea shop nearby Danbad, Balram neglects his duties and spends his days listening to customers' conversations. Once Balram overhears a customer speaking about the high earnings and easy life that India's private chauffeurs enjoy. Chauffeur is a person whose job is to drive a car for somebody else. Now, hearing this, Balram, he begs his grandmother to send him to driving school. Kushum, his grandmother, also agrees with one condition that Balram has to send his wages once he finds a job. While Balram finishes his training completely, Balram knocks on the doors of Banbad's rich families to offer him job. By luck, he arrives at the mansion of Stork, that is one of Laxmangahr's animal landlords. Balram is being hired by Stork when Stork's son Mr. Ashok returns from America with his wife Pinky Madam. The family also hires Balram to become Ashok's driver. In reality, Balram is more of general servant to the family, while other servant Ram Prasad has the privilege of driving them. As days pass, Balram learns the Stork's family's fortune, which comes from illegal selling coal out of government mines. The family also avoid paying income tax by bribing the ministers to turn a blind eye to their fraudulent business. Now, when this is on, unfortunately, the family recently had a disagreement with the region's ruling politician, who is referred as the Great Socialist. The family members also send Ashok and Pinky to Delhi, thinking that Ashok may bribe to make amends. Amends means to change a situation slightly in order to make it better. When Balram comes to know that the couple will need a driver in Delhi, so he plans to have Ram Prasad dismissed and he replaces Ram Prasad's place. Once in Delhi, Balram witnesses Pinky and Ashok's fight and he understands that their marriage will end and fall apart. Few days later, Pinky returns to US and leaves her husband after she kills a young child in a drunken state. In Pinky's absence, Ashok goes to bars and clubs. He also hires a prostitute one night and also reconnects with his former lover, Miss Usha. Now, observing Ashok's disastrous life, Balram shows his disappointment and bitterness. Balram thinks that although Ashok is a kind master, Ashok has no generosity or does not have any real interest to help Balram to achieve his better life. Using this opportunity, Balram plans to murder Ashok and also plans to escape with the bag of money that Ashok carries around the city to bribe politicians. So Ashok frequently collected large sums of money in a red bag. Meanwhile, Balram's family sent a young male relative, Dharam. In addition to this, Balram also analyzes that there is a logic of the rooster coup. The rooster coup is the system of oppression that the big shots have, and they try to suppress and oppress the India's poor people. Balram also understands that he himself is trapped inside this rooster coup. Now, Balram analyzes that if he is going to kill Ashok, then Ashok's family will murder all his relatives in Laxmangahr in retaliation. He also holds his plan because of the arrival of his young cousin Dharan, who's been sent by his grandmother. In spite of all these thoughts that runs inside Balram's mind, he finally resolves to proceed with the murder using a weapon that he used to break his liquor bottle. One day, as he drives Ashok to deliver a large bribe, Balram pretends that there is a mechanical problem in the car. He convinces Ashok to kneel down in order to examine the wheel of the car. Then he brings the broken bottle down on Ashok's head and kills Ashok. Immediately, in order to escape, he runs to Ashok's apartment. He takes Dharan, his young cousin. He moves to Bangalore. Balram also settles in Bangalore, and as he wanders in the previous shop, he also takes a wander at night. He moves around the city and listens to conversations in cafes, just as he did in tea shops in Danbad. He also tries to plan his next move. He then learns that Bangalore's business world revolves around outsourcing, and the technological companies and the world works on the nocturnal schedule. Nocturnal schedule in the sense that people who work late night, who's awake and active at night for their work. Now, observing this, Balram creates a taxi company called White Tiger Drivers to call the call center workers home safely at night. This action and new venture of Balram brings him great success. So, here the novel ends just as it started. The novel starts with Balram's letter to Wen Jiabao, the Chinese premier. So the novel comes back to its starting stage. So by the time he sits down to write his story, Balram is a wealthy man who keeps to himself. Still, he is fearful that one day his crime will be discovered. However, he concludes his letter to Wen Jiabao, claiming that even if he is found out, he will never regret for his crime because it was worth committing simply because it enabled him to experience life as a free man rather than a servant. Let's see the themes that are discussed in the novel: the self made man, social breakdown, self interest and corruption, education. Next is family, morality, and Indian society. The symbols used are the white tiger, the rooster coup, and the black fort. So the black fort is a representation of his days, his luxurious days, and his luxurious office in Bangalore. Balram also imagines that the policeman might have gone to his hometown to inquire about him, but then he laughs to himself that the police would never discover the true clue to what differentiated him from the other villages, what made him capable of imagining a better life. Actually, the Black Fort is located in Balram's village. It is a grand old building on a hill above town, which is constructed by the English people. which had both fascinated and frightened Balram when he was young. Hope this video helped you to learn about The White Tiger, written by Aravind Adiga. For more informative videos, keep subscribed to this channel. And if you have any suggestion for discussion, please write it down on the comment section. Thank you for listening.